So we came together and we saw a challenge when it came to creating demos for customers. The challenge has really been you had to spend a lot of time creating demo data to make the demo actually tailored for that individual customer. And usually the demo instances are kind of canned and more generic. And so we wanted a solution where you wouldn't have to spend time manually creating this data or actually creating it in general at all. And so we came up with this idea of leveraging Flow Designer integrations and then the service catalog with a form to be able to automatically generate customer data to have it tailored for that individual use case. And the objective is to really sell more by doing less. And we estimate this out to be a projected total value of 14K per SC a year. So this is how it works. You come into the service catalog, you just, like any other catalog item, we just input a GPT, but you could again favorite it. We'll go to request. Then I'll input the customer. In this case, I'll put Walmart. I'll select what module I'm going to be demoing it for. Right, this is where it could be field service, ITSM, HR, legal. Again, really the use cases you can really expand upon. What even subflow we're going to be doing. So in this case, we're doing EAM assets, and I'll do store assets. Select order now, check out. And then the integration will take those variables, put it into the prompt, which will interface with ChatGPT or the Now large language model, and it will generate that data in a JSON format, which will come into this next table. So you can see here's some previous data that come over, whether it be from Verizon. You can see optical and telecommunications assets. This is ExxonMobil, so it's more so drilling systems. McCormick is more so OT assets to monitor manufacturing. And then even from, I believe this was Delta Airlines, so more so aircraft they wanted to manage. So I'll refresh the list. It created some retail store assets, whether it be like an OT asset, monitoring the refrigeration system, say in the grocery aisle, or security systems. So again, it's trying to make that tailored demo more impactful when we go to demonstrate for that particular customer. And this is just the data that sits in the custom table, and then eventually it will get parsed out using the flows to populate the appropriate tables. So you can see here in the final stage as far as enterprise assets, if I were to refresh this, it'll be populated here as far as the asset tag, the model category, the model, the location, the status, the cost. But then also too, it's populating the model table, it's populating the model category, the locations, the company table. So it's all part of the flow.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So Alex did a great job explaining a lot of this at the high level and even showing it because we want to make this process that could be driven simply through ServiceNow in that, we want better asset data in this case, right? Again, we'll talk about how this could scale out to other solutions, but and making it simple to go in and request the data that you need. So we start with the form, which you saw. We captured variables there, such as, who's the customer, what are the kinds of data points that we need under which module. And then from there, like Alex described, what we'll do is we'll take those variables and we'll put them into a prompt that we've kind of pre-canned so that we can send that over to ChatGPT. In that, we'll walk through kind of the action in Flow Designer that's doing that. And as we get a return prompt, we actually have another script that's parsing through that and inserting the data into tables. And then from there, we have transform maps that will take it from kind of our quote unquote staging tables and put it into the actual tables within ServiceNow that we can leverage in the appropriate solution. So for example, with us in enterprise asset management, that's where the tables Alex showed, if we ask for assets, it's going to come back, get staged, and then we're going to have transform maps, put those into the appropriate, location, asset, model category tables as needed. So let's take a look at what that looks like behind the scenes here. So here we have, we already took a look at the form. Here we have an example flow that we built out, right? And again, a lot of this is with consideration in mind on how this could scale. So here, from a service catalog request, we're pulling in all the variables that we're capturing in there. And we're using that to kind of determine dynamically what solution we need data for. So in this case, we're pulling enterprise asset management based on the user response. And so that's going to kick off our subflow, which pretty much is just pulling in this action here. And so this is where we already have a prompt written out specifically for EAM assets that's now just pulling in specific variables such as who's the customer, what are the kinds of assets that we're talking about, so that we can get the appropriate data. And then we have a script that's going to go through and parse the data out so that we can insert that into the relevant tables as needed. And then again, the transfer maps are going to take that and put them into the EAM specific tables. And with that, again, we talked a little bit about the scaling. If we look at the kind of what our goals are for the future, today we kind of had this example of enterprise assets, and that's because Alex and I, we both as asset management solution consultants, we deal with this all the time, right? But the goal of this would be to have ChatGPT or some sort of LLM prompting solution allow us to scale this out further to where from a user prompt using the form, we can look at, okay, well, the example we just saw, we need store assets for a specific customer. We want ChatGPT to generate those and populate the tables appropriately, right? But we want to move that towards that being fully scalable to, let's say I'm working in FSM or field service management, and I'm dealing with, telco specific work orders, working with a customer who has a very unique use case, being able to have the system generate descriptions for that work order and even potentially tasks for that work order, and the related data tied to those all automatically without us having to go in and create these work orders. Another example of that would be incident management, right? Let's say we have a customer who's dealing with incidents. Alex has worked with a lot of customers in that space. I have as well. And, looking at things like, maybe a point of sale system, trying to track the incidents tied to that, because the point of sale systems help us run our concessions for a major event. And in which case, if we want to really apply a demo tailored specifically to that use case, we can leverage ChatGPT to kind of build out the kinds of incidents that would make sense in a scenario like that. And you can take this all across the board, right? Even something like SPM or strategic portfolio management. If we want to create demands that make more sense to a specific industry for the kind of projects that they could be working on for the upcoming fiscal year, we could have ChatGPT generate kind of the demand descriptions, even potential resources needed, et cetera. So that's kind of the goal. Again, starting today with the idea of, hey, we can use a service catalog, prompt what we need, and ChatGPT generate the data that we want. And ultimately, that's something that can apply beyond just asset management.